Okay, I'm going to do a video on lesson 6 that we should have done before spring break, but again, if you did not a big deal, but we got to make sure we get caught up. Okay, so on this first triangle, 50 degrees, 40 degrees, 90 degrees, all we have so far is to use this chart. So we're going to estimate Z. Remember, that's our hypotenuse, so I can use this column or I can use this column. It doesn't matter which one. It's just how you want to look at it. So I'm going to look at the 50 degrees here. And so I have my adjacent side. So for my 50 degrees, I know my adjacent side is equal to 3. And I know my hypotenuse is what we're looking for. Okay, so there's the ratio that I have. And so if I go down here to 50 degrees, I know I want adjacent and over hypotenuse. So I know that is this, and I'm going to set that equal to my ratio here, which is 3 over Z. And then I'm going to solve for Z. And remember we talked about, well, I'll just solve this out. So I want to multiply both sides by Z. This cancels, so now I have this equals 3, and now we're going, oops, I forgot my Z. Now we're going to divide both sides by 0.643. Okay, so that cancels here. So Z is equal to, and I haven't actually solved that out. Let's look. So we get Z is 4.7. Okay, so that's what we were working on before all this crap happened, that now we're doing everything from home. So the goal of last week, or 2 weeks ago now, what I wanted y'all to see is looking at what this cosine, sine, and tangent means. And if you put this in your calculator, if you put cosine 50 in your calculator, and I wonder, I'll look at pulling up an online calculator here in a second, or maybe on the next video I'll get it pulled up. So you make sure you really understand what to type in the calculator. But if you type in, there's always a cosine, sine, tangent. If you type in, click cosine 50, and then you hit enter, it's going to give you this decimal. Okay, if you type in sine 50, then you're going to get this. And then tangent 50, which is 1.19. Now, what I really wanted you to look at was, once you get these values, if you scroll back up here and look at your 50, then you're getting these same measurements. So if you notice then, this correlates to the adjacent hypotenuse column. This correlates to the opposite hypotenuse column, and this correlates to the opposite adjacent column. So what we can say is these are our, like, sine x. This column is cosine x, and this one is our tangents of x, with x being our angles. And let's look. Here's 40. And so hopefully when you type this into your calculator, you got, and then sine 40, and then tangent. So how do your values compare to your chart? They're the same values. That's what they wanted to see, same values. And so we're wanting you to see this correlation with cosine, sine, and tangent now. So now we won't have to refer back to the table every time we work a problem, and now we can use our calculator with just a couple of buttons and find out any measurement, not just like a 50, not just the tens. Now we can find 12-degree angle, we can find a 76-degree angle, and so on. All right, so now how could we show our work here to get Z? So let's look at this. And this time I will look at I'll look at 40 degrees. Well, if I look at my 40 degrees, then what we need to first realize is what is given to us. If we know 3, then we know our opposite side. And we're looking for our hypotenuse side. So we're going to look at opposite over hypotenuse. So we look up here, opposite over hypotenuse is where we're going to use cosine, or sine, sine. So that's the same thing as sine. Now what you do is you put your degrees in there. Equals, my opposite side is 3, my hypotenuse side is Z. And so remember what we learned and what we talked about before the break. If your variable's on the bottom, then you can just flip-flop these two, okay? Which is what we ended up with here. So what I'm going to say is Z equals 3 sine 40 degrees. And then we can type that straight in the calculator. Let me see if I can... Okay, so if we use this calculator here, so we had 3 divided by sine of, was it 40? Enter. So we get 4.03. Hold on a second. Okay, let me look at that because I don't know.